Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Kaduna, there lived a beautiful young girl named Sulia. Sulia was a very intelligent young girl. She was the fourth of 15 children, and her mother, Amina, was the fourth of six wives. Her father, Chief Danjuma, was a very wealthy man and had enough money to cater for all his wives and children. Although Sulia was well taken care of and lacked nothing, as a matter of fact, she went to the very best schools in Kaduna. But she was sad. She never liked the fact that she was born into a polygamous home. She saw the way her mother and her stepmothers always schemed against one another and quarreled regularly. She also saw the way even the children tried their best to please their father, Chief Danjuma, always trying to become his favorite. And she came up with one decision, that she was going to marry for love. She was going to marry a man that loved her and only her, and that would never marry any other woman aside her. She did not want to end up like her mother, who was always fighting with her co-wives. Neither did she want her children to have half-siblings who they would be in constant strife with. Each time she told her mother this, that the husband that she would marry in future would get married to only her, her mother would simply shake her head and say, my dear, you had better be careful and don't say things that you know nothing of. Have you forgotten that you are a Muslim and you would definitely marry a Muslim man? And as a Muslim, your husband can take more than one wife if he so pleases. So please do not build castles in the air. Even if your husband promises you that he will not take a second wife, you had better not believe it. You had better prepare your mind for the worst. If not, you will be heartbroken for no reason. We are Muslims and it is right for your husband to take more than one wife if he so pleases. Amina would say sternly to her daughter Sulia, and Sulia would just reply and say, don't worry now mama, you'll be here. You'll be here when I get married, and you will see that I will be my husband's only wife. I will be the full package and will bring so much to the table that my husband will have no need for a second wife. Sulia replied very proudly, Haba, Sulia, ya Kurimana, listen to your mother so that you don't get disappointed. A word is enough for the wise, oh, Amina would say endearingly. But all of Amina's words fell on deaf ears. So a few months later, Sulia graduated from secondary school with flying colors. And a few months after that, she got admission into the university to study medicine. Sulia was very happy. She put in the work, she studied very hard and excelled at school because she had one thing at the back of her mind, which was that she wanted to become a woman of value. She wanted to bring so much to the table that her future husband would value her so much that he would never take a second wife. But when she was barely in her fourth year and went back home for holidays, she kept on having a lot of suitors. Many of her father's friends, who were either in their 50s or 60s, were asking for her hand in marriage to become either their fifth, sixth, or seventh wife. But Sulia turned all of them down because she knew what she wanted: a devout Muslim man who would love and marry only her for the rest of his life. So a few years later, and Sulia graduated from the university with a distinction. She was so happy, and her mother was very proud of her too. After that, Sulia moved to a new city, Abuja. She got a job at one of the most prestigious hospitals in Abuja. Sulia worked so hard, and in no time she had started making some good money and started investing the money. In a matter of 2 years, she had bought two properties and she had also made very credible investments. She was taking her decision to be perceived as a woman of value very seriously. And just 3 years after graduating, Sulia had become a multi-millionaire with two properties and several other investments to her name. Sulia was very happy, and she knew that it was only a matter of time for her to meet her Prince Charming. And just like she expected, a few months later, Sulia met a handsome young man named Ahmed. Ahmed was very handsome by all ramification. He was tall and clean and dressed very well and smelt nicely too. So it was no surprise that when Sulia met Ahmed for the very first time, she took a liking to him instantly, even before he walked up to her. And by the time Ahmed had approached her to talk to her, Sulia was already smiling like a fish. Ahmed went ahead to ask for her number, which she gladly gave him. And so from that day, Ahmed and Sulia began to speak over the phone every single day for several hours. And before they knew what was happening, they began to hang out more frequently. And one day at a beautiful restaurant, Ahmed asked Sulia to be his girlfriend. Sulia was so happy and accepted immediately, and they began dating officially. Ahmed was a farmer. He reared animals and planted crops. Although he did not have as much money as Sulia, but Sulia did not care because she loved him. Besides, he was okay. At least he could take care of himself and her. Ahmed was a lover boy. He would show up unexpectedly at the hospital with flowers and gifts for her. He would take her out on dates and they would dance and dance all night. He would even help her cook delicious meals. Ahmed loved Sulia and made her very happy. But one day, Sulia and Ahmed were in Ahmed's home just gisting and hanging out, when Ahmed turned to Sulia and said, "Sulia, I love you so much. I know, yes, I may not be at the same level with you financially, but I love you and I would want to spend the rest of my life with you one day. But I do not know if you feel the same way about me, and if I ask you to be my wife, if you would even accept my proposal." Ahmed said very lovingly. And Sulia just simply smiled and replied him saying, "I love you so much too, babe. And I would want to get married to you, but I have some fears. You know very well that we are both Muslims, and as Muslims, you are allowed to take more than one wife. But I do not want to get married to a man who will take more than one wife, even though our religion allows him to do so. So if we are to get married, I need to be sure on your take about marrying two wives, if it's something you would ever consider doing." Sulia asked, looking very serious. Then Ahmed looked at her lovingly and said, "Sulia, I love you more than my life, and I'm sure that I will never be able to love anyone as much as I love you. I have already given you my heart, so there's nothing left to give another woman. Yes, I know our religion allows me to marry more than one wife, and my father also married 3 wives. But I promise you, Sulia, that if you will agree to marry me, I will love only you and marry only you till I die." Ahmed replied smiling. And immediately Sulia hugged Ahmed, and then Ahmed went on his knees and said to Sulia, "Sulia, please will you be my wife?" Ahmed asked smiling. And Sulia accepted his proposal immediately. So a few months later, Sulia and Ahmed got married in a very lavish wedding ceremony. They were so happy. They decided to live in one of Sulia's properties instead of living in Ahmed's rented house. Ahmed and Sulia were so in love and lived together happily. Everything was going on just fine for them. But then one day, Ahmed's farm caught fire and he lost all his crops and animals. Ahmed broke down in tears, weeping uncontrollably. Sulia tried her best to comfort her husband in these trying times, but he was so broken. So Sulia took up the responsibility of the home. She provided for her and her husband without complaining. And after a few months, his wife Sulia gave him some money to start up any business of his choice. But because Ahmed had gotten used to being taken care of by his wife, he decided to use most of the money to buy shoes, clothes, gold, anything that he liked, any nice thing, even a brand new car, and now used the balance that was a paltry sum of about 400,000 naira to rent an office space and put a secretary, claiming that he was a business consultant. Sulia knew that this was irresponsible of Ahmed, but as a good wife, she decided not to make a fuss about it. She did not mind one bit, so she continued to provide for her home, while turning a blind eye to the fact that Ahmed was not providing for the household. Sulia just felt that if she takes up Ahmed's responsibility willingly, he will be happy and love her even more and would never take a second wife. So Ahmed and Sulia continued to live happily, with Sulia providing for the family while Ahmed just continued to be a fine big Abuja boy. Ahmed had access to his wife Sulia's ATM cards and spent money as he liked. Sulia never for once questioned him. They had an understanding and it worked perfectly fine for them. But 4 years later, and Sulia still did not have a child. This got her very worried because she wanted to start having her children as early as possible, but they were not forthcoming. Ahmed was, however, a very supportive partner throughout this trying period. He would always comfort his wife and assure her that Allah would bless them with children in due time. Sulia was very happy to have such a supportive husband, and they continued living together in peace. But 5 years later, and Sulia was still childless, and her husband Ahmed was still as supportive as day one. But one day, Sulia was at home seated in their parlor when suddenly her mother-in-law walked in with her husband Ahmed and a beautiful 17-year-old pregnant girl into their home. "What is happening here?" Sulia asked, looking very shocked. "Have you lost your manners? Is that how you welcome your mother-in-law to her son's home? Anyway, I do not blame you. You were not well brought up. That's why you can speak to me like that." Her mother-in-law, Halima, answered angrily and then said, "Anyway, this is your co-wife. She would help give your husband children, since you cannot have children for my son. You are the older wife, so see to it that she feels at home and she feels safe," Halima said, while pointing at the pregnant 7 years old girl, whose name was Zainab. "What is the meaning of this nonsense, Ahmed?" Sulia replied in anger. Yes, I'm taking another wife. It is within my right to do so. After all, we are Muslims. Besides, I'm the man of this house and I answer to no one. So get on with it. I have a new wife and you should fulfill your duties as a good wife and make your junior wife feel welcome," Ahmed replied sternly. Sulia was so broken. She just locked herself in her room for days, crying and weeping profusely. But Ahmed did not care. Instead, he would be busy laughing loudly and playing with his new bride. His new bride would prepare sumptuous meals for him and then give them to him politely, saying, "Megida, your meal is ready," Zainab would say, smiling, and Ahmed would simply sit there like a king, smiling sheepishly. Meanwhile, Sulia was in so much pain and she buried herself in her job just so she could forget the hurt and betrayal that she had just experienced from the man that she loved. And things continued like this for the next few months. She neither spoke to her husband Ahmed nor his new wife Zainab. But Sulia also changed. She no longer bought foodstuffs for the home and refused to enter the kitchen to cook for her husband. Instead, if she was hungry, she would go out to eat. And she also even went ahead and blocked all her ATM cards so that her husband would not have access to her money any longer. And barely 1 month after she did this, her husband Ahmed suddenly started trying to speak to his wife. This is someone that he had not spoken to since his new wife Zainab came into the picture. Sulia, when last did you enter the kitchen? Your own kitchen, to know what is going on in your own home? Or don't you know that you're the senior wife? Also, why is it that the family ATM cards keep saying incorrect PIN each time I try to make a withdrawal? What is happening? Ahmed asked his wife shamelessly. And Sulia just responded and said, well, your new wife enters the kitchen regularly, and if something is wrong, I'm sure she would let you know and you can fix it. And as for the ATM cards, the last time I checked, we do not have a joint account. So if you're having a problem with your ATM card, please go to the bank and rectify it, because there is nothing wrong with mine. Sulia responded sternly. Ahmed was frustrated, but refused to show it. So a few days later, the foodstuffs in their kitchen had already finished, and Zainab began to complain bitterly. Megida, I'm hungry. Oh. There is no food in this house. Everything has finished. Me, I'm hungry. Oh. I'm a pregnant woman and I need to eat. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Zainab would say and then burst out into tears. Ahmed was very confused. All this while, he was not used to providing for his home. It was usually Sulia that single-handedly sponsored their home. And now that he had married a second wife, she had stopped buying anything, not even a single pin, for the house. She had also restricted his access to her money. Ahmed was too ashamed to ask his first wife Sulia for money, so at least he could buy foodstuffs. So instead, he went to some of his friends to borrow money, just so he could feed his pregnant wife, so she could stop disturbing him with her tears. Ahmed had no thriving business. The sham of an office that Sulia had given him money to open had never for once yielded 1 naira. All these years, it had been Sulia that had been paying the rent of his office space and even his secretary's salary. So this was how Ahmed continued to go from one friend to the other to borrow money to feed himself and his pregnant wife. By this time, Zainab had realized that the man she thought was rich was not even rich. Rather, it was his wife that was funding his big man lifestyle. Ahmed, on the other hand, was already getting too frustrated. He was tired of borrowing money from one friend or the other. So he tried to emotionally blackmail Sulia. So Ahmed called Sulia's mother and lied to her that his wife is refusing to fulfill her duties as a wife. So Sulia's mother called her daughter one day and said, Sulia, Habamana, why are you behaving like this? Your husband called me, complaining very bitterly. What do you think you are doing? Are you the first person whose husband took a second wife? I, your mother, am I not a fourth wife to your father? Besides, is it not within his right to do so? Please stop being childish and take charge of your home and bring the second wife under your wings. You are the senior wife. Sulia's mother said to her sternly. But Sulia just replied her mother and said, okay. But nothing changed. She continued to mind her business and pour herself into her career, while Ahmed and his wife continued to starve of hunger. A few weeks later, and Zainab gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. But due to some complications, she did not have a vaginal birth, but a cesarean section. And 5 days after Zainab gave birth, she was still in the hospital because Ahmed could not pay up for the CS. Ahmed was frustrated. He could not even go ask his friends for money because he was still owing many of them. And he could not also still bring himself to ask his first wife Sulia because he knew that he would just be wasting his time. So he had no choice than to beg his mother for help. And she was the one who had to give him money to pay for his second wife hospital bills. So finally, Zainab was discharged from the hospital. But upon getting to their home, Zainab and Ahmed were surprised to see all their belongings outside. Sulia had thrown all her husband and his new wife's properties out of her home. What is the meaning of this? Why would your wife throw our things out? Zainab asked Ahmed furiously. And that was when, for the first time in a long time, Ahmed remembered that the house that they lived in was not his own. It belonged to his wife. So Ahmed started screaming at the top of his lungs, saying, Sulia, Sulia, please, we can talk about it now. Please do not embarrass me like this. Where do you want me to take my second wife and our newborn baby to right now? Sulia, please don't do this to me. Sulia, Sulia, Habamana, Dala, please. Ahmed screamed at the top of his lungs. But Sulia just stared at him with no form of emotion. She did not even feel a single remorse at all. So Ahmed had no choice than to take his second wife and his newborn baby to his mother's house to live. And in a short while, Zainab, his second wife, and his mother began to fight and quarrel every minute. Ahmed was frustrated. He had no peace of mind and had nothing to his name as well. As a matter of fact, he was in debt. He had borrowed money from a lot of people and was drowning in debt. Now, Ahmed began to miss the good old times he had with Sulia and wished that he had kept to his word and not gotten a second wife. He also wished that he had sat down with his first wife Sulia and together come up with a way to fight their infertility. Sulia, on the other hand, simply just moved on with her life, doing what she loved the most, which was saving lives at the hospital. She hoped and prayed to find true love again one day. Hi besties, it's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. Actually, I have 3 questions for you. So the first is, do you think that Sulia was too harsh in her decisions by pursuing her husband, her co-wife, and their newborn baby out of her home? Do you think that was too much? Did she take it to the extreme? Now, secondly, do you think that even though Ahmed, Sulia's husband, had promised her not to ever take a second wife, do you think that Sulia should have still made room for it and also, prepared to forgive him when he actually does it? Like, since she knows that they are both Muslims and that he had the right to do so, don't you think that she should have, at the back of her mind, made room for it in case he does it and, make provision to forgive him? Do you think she should have done that instead of reacting the way she did? Then my final question, this one is directed to those who are Muslims or who have close friends that are Muslims. So I've always thought about it. Are Muslim women really happy? Like, are they okay? Are they contented really when their husbands take a second, a third, a fourth wife? Seeing that it's allowed in their religion and it's right, it's okay. But do the women actually feel okay? Like, are they really okay? Do they really like it? That's my question. So please share your thoughts with me in the comment section. And please support your homegirl, Omalicha, by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories, bye!